Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Here we are in the garage today, and I just want to do a real quick video on the hooks I use. Man, I've got my box I just took out of the boat. I'm gonna open that thing up, and it's basic, man. I got 3 hooks in there that I use on bait casting equipment. We're gonna do a second part to this series of the hooks I use when I'm using spinning equipment. So let's get off into it. I'm gonna open this box up and show you guys what I use right here. This is how I store my hooks. I've got it pretty simple. I've got straight shank hooks, I got worm hooks, and I got a few EWG hooks. That's all I carry traveling across the country. That's all I need. It's simple like that. So like, this is a straight shank hook. It's just a straight shank hook. It's what's different between this and like an offset round bend. 2 different style hooks. A straight shank hook most of the time is a lot heavier wire than an offset round bend. These straight shank hooks I use when I'm flipping and pitching. You know, if you're walking around a pond, if you're in your boat and you're flipping and pitching a bait close to the boat, that's the hook I'm gonna use. I'll use this 3/0 right here in, say, this Pit Boss. You know, it works perfect for that. I just go in it just a little bit and then turn it around. Obviously I'd have line on there, and that fits in it perfect. You know, a mistake that I've made in the past is try to get too big a hook, a 4/0 hook. It won't fit in there. You're gonna get snagged up a lot, and it's straight. See how straight that is? That's a big key, in my opinion, to get that stuff straight. So this is a worm hook. I use this style offset round bend worm hook anytime I'm casting, anytime I'm away from the boat, maybe even swimming a worm, anytime I'm casting on, say, a plastic worm, a fluke style bait, a jerk shad like this, you know, like a creature bait, any of that stuff, that's the hook I'm gonna use for that stuff. And again, I see a lot of guys try to get too big a hook. When you go to buy your hook, go find the piece of plastic you're gonna put it in and make sure it fits. Obviously it fits in this worm, but if I had a different style creature bait, if somebody's actually gonna put it in this creature bait, it's not even gonna remotely fit in that. And that's a 2/0 worm hook. So make sure your hook's gonna fit. But I use offset round bend in all my plastic worms and my soft jerk baits. Now, I see a lot of people use the EWG style hook. This is an EWG style hook. This is offset round bend. The biggest difference is this has got a bigger gap right here, but the problem that I have with the EWG hook is when you go to set the hook, you got your weight right here and you go to set the hook and you got your piece of plastic. Let's just rig this up right here. That hook would be a little big for this worm if we're even gonna try to use it. When you go to set the hook with this, the hook point is in line with the eye. So, you know, that fish is gonna basically have to clamp down behind the eye to get good penetration. When you rig this same worm up on an offset round bend, get it rigged up here real quick. Now, a little harder to get it straight. Now, when you go to set the hook, this hook point is outside of the eye. So the eye's right here, the hook point's up here. So now when you get to set the hook, you can see you've got that much penetration, the width of my finger, over the line tie. You don't have that with the EWG when you put it in that hook because everything's in line. So when that's in line, you don't have that. You know, just how that hook's built, it's all straight in line. You've got about that much gap to where the other one, heck, you got that much gap. Look at the difference you're hitting on my finger. So the question is, when do you use the EWG? Edwin, why do you have EWG hooks in your box? The one time I use EWGs is on a tube. You know, a tube's a great flipping bait. You know, and I'm talking about flipping a tube. Now, if I was casting a tube, you know, out on the Great Lakes, I'm gonna be putting a lead head in it. But this is when I use an EWG because I want that added space. You know, a tube's a big, thick piece of plastic when you compare it to a plastic worm. To see how much more plastic you have there, Now, when a bass eats that, it has a place for all this plastic to go and get out of the way. Still, with a tube that's notorious for losing fish, I mean, it's gonna be one of the last things I pick up when I'm fishing in a tournament because just of the hookup percentage of a tube, but that's when I use an EWG hook, is when I'm tube fishing. So there it is, guys. I carry 3 hooks. I carry straight shank hooks, basically 3/0 and 4/0. I carry 2 and 3/0 offset worm hooks, and I carry a few EWG hooks for a tube. These are gonna be my hooks for anything I'm casting. Carolina rig, you know, power hogs, plastic worms, whatever it is I'm casting, that's the style hook I'm gonna use. The straight shank's gonna be what I'm gonna use for flipping. And yeah, that's my box right there.